elderly people.
You don't got anything on me.
No,
Let's go. Square up.
Not gonna happen.
Let me get back to you on that.
I've always worn Cascades. I've got pictures of my first helmets back when it was sport helmets. My dad, I was really fortunate. Every birthday, he would get me the latest Cascade, so that was always something I could look forward to. So I was always in the best helmet that Cascade made. My teammates were always envious of me.
You know, I've been wearing a Cascade helmet since my first time in 5th grade and haven't looked back or changed, and wore it in college, wore it in the pros.
Yeah, I've always worn Cascade. Anytime I've even tried anything else on, I've never liked it. I don't really like the look of other helmets.
Growing up, Cascades were always the helmet of choice for me. I mean, I remember I just got into the game when they first got rid of the buckets, so the tie backs back in the day. When the first Cascade came out, that was wild, it was revolutionary.
I've only worn Cascade. I have no interest in trying on any other helmet. I feel like when you're already wearing the best helmet that looks the best and feels the best, then what's the point?
No matter what helmet somebody wears, if they have to wear another one, they're going to tell you that they'd rather be wearing this.
Welcome in, Lacrosse fans, to a snowy Salt Lake City. We have a great matchup for you today. The #1 ranked Utah Utes taking on the Washington Huskies. Came in last night from Seattle, Washington. I'm Tim Haslam, your host for today. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Matt Duke Rosati. Matt, how are you?
Doing well. It's a beautiful day for lacrosse, Tim.
I guess that depends on who you ask. A little snowy out there, as you can see from the feed. This probably started just half an hour ago. The real thick stuff started falling about 5 minutes ago, so we'll see what happens. It snowed this morning in the valley and then cleared up for that high school game before us, but decided to come back for this one. So we'll see what happens here. I hope that the director of ops for Utah brought the orange balls, and we'll see what happens. Duke, what are some of the keys for you for this game for Utah?
Yeah, I mean, when the weather is like this, you'd like to see some patience on the offensive end. Of course, sticks are going to be bagging out. It's hard to see the ball, especially if the ball is white. They didn't bring orange balls, so you want to make sure on the offensive end you stay patient, take the best shot, not the first shot. And on D, you want to make sure that you put an overemphasis on that side of the field as well today, because it's a lot harder for the offense to operate in these conditions.
Sure. Before the game, when it was just a light snow, we all kind of took score predictions and we're guessing kind of high, but I think we'd probably all like to switch those to a lower scoring game.
Yeah.
Utes come into this game with a 7-0 record, coming off a 15-6 win over Oregon on Thursday. Washington coming into this game with a 4-1 record, 1-0 in the PNCLL. They beat Dominican a couple weeks ago, 12-7. Washington on an interesting little road trip. Usually these MCLA teams will go Thursday, Saturday, but they're going to go Saturday today here, obviously, and then stick around and play BYU on Monday. So kind of an interesting little schedule there for them. Duke, if you're Washington, what are you trying to do to slow down the Utah offense?
Well, if you look at the huddle over there, Washington's real light on numbers, so they do not want to get into an up and down game today. So you're going to look. My guess would be that they're going to want to get settled offense, really long possessions, maybe not even necessarily ending in goals. They just want kind of the length on that. But it could be. Given the circumstances of the weather, it could be pretty tough sledding for them, literally because there's snow on the ground.
We might have to get the sleds out at halftime to shovel around the creases and whatnot. Coming into this game for the Washington Huskies, their leading scorer in terms of points is a junior attackman, Drew Boyd. 6 goals, 12 assists for 18 points on the season. Two Huskies with 11 goals, Ben LaRoche and Aiden Magger. Coming in this game with 11 goals Maguire has 2 assists, and LaRoche has 1 goal. At the Face-Off X, they've been going with LaRoche and Nick Lammers. Both of those guys are over 70%, so something to watch there. It would be one of my keys would be that Face-Off X and see what happens. Utah coming into the game with Michael Abizade at 72%. So should be a good battle there at the Face-Off X. Obviously, the snow and slippery conditions could wreak havoc there to begin with. Washington's goalie, Christopher Moreno, coming in with 37 goals allowed, 30 saves for a .448 save percentage. Utah's goalie, Daniel Costa, 52 saves, 7.4 goals per game, and a .69 percentage, which leads the RMLC for starters. If you look at the stats page on for the RMLC on MCLA.us, all 3 Utah goalies are actually at the top in terms of save percentage, but obviously Costa, the starter, who's played the majority of the minutes for them. Coming into this game for the Utes, Josh Stout leading the team, 29 goals, 7 assists for 36 points. That's an RMLC best as well in goals and points. Quinault Mackey, 13 goals, 4 assists. Jojo Olivas, 11 goals, 4 assists. Bo Powell, 10 goals, 6 assists. Cole Watson, Gus Colonna, and Jake Stout each have 8 goals for the Utes. Watson and Gus with 2 assists and Stout with 4 assists. So the scoring is spread out with the Utes. Should continue here today if the weather doesn't have effect. I talked to Coach Holmby before the game. You know, he said the elements are just another thing that we kind of have to lose focus of. You know, we're only playing ourselves. You know, it's not something that we can really worry about. And then of course the old adage is, you know, the Huskies have to play in the snow as well. So should be a good matchup here. If you have any comments or concerns or questions for us, we'd love to read tweets on air. Go ahead and send us your tweets at Utah Lacrosse, and we'll try to get those on air as we have a look at the starters here. From right to left, Daniel Costa, Rylan Lemons, 21, Devin Keefe, 33, Seth Neeleman, 5, Michael Abizade, 6, Chris Belcher, 7, Cam Redmond, 32, Quinault Mackey, 18, JoJo, 2, Josh Stout, 1. So those are the starting lineups for the Utes today. Utes like to employ sort of a defense by committee look where they'll rotate in another 3 or 4 different poles to get into this game. They'll rotate in probably 2 or 3 more attackmen as well throughout the periods to kind of give the Utes fresh legs. As we see Abizade out there, I believe that's 17 for the Huskies, Nick Lammers. Chris Belcher on the near wing, Cam Redmond on that far wing for the Utes. That referee is Cole Salone. He is a Judge High alumni, so good for him to be back on the turf. They did find some orange balls, which is good. Gonna need them. Ball is loose, which I think will be a common trend. Josh Stout with the big hit. Belcher comes up with it. Sells it high to Redmond, who collects. So Utah wins that first face-off and is going to have possession here. Kind of sloppy, as you might expect from the conditions. That's JoJo with the ball. Stout gets to Q. Goes up top to Felsted. Gets it over to Reed Lanigan. Lanigan from Memphis, Tennessee. Utes being very patient here, as you might expect. Nice step down from Stout, goes wide.
So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Their goalie, Moreno, is a lefty, so it's something that shooters have to get adjusted to. I was going to say before we started here, but normally that probably would have been a goal for Stout, but that on that left side, he's got to stick there. So.
Great observation there, Duke, as Utah pass gets knocked down. Oh, good ground ball by number 10. That's Drew Boyd, able to scoop that one up as we see the Huskies on there for first possession. 18 with the ball, Garrett Sorensen. Huskies come into this game averaging 13.4 goals per game as we see Belcher with the nice takeaway. That's one of his strong suits. He's got a lot of strong suits. That's one of them. Gets the ball up to Redmond. gets it over to Stout. I was saying Washington coming into this game averaging 13.4 goals per game, allowing 7.4. Utah coming into the game averaging 18 straight up and allowing 4.6. So obviously both those numbers in favor of Utah. That's Liam Kavanaugh Fernandez with the ball. Doubt he's played much in the snow, being from Encinitas, California. That's Jake Stout with the ball. Stouts are obviously brothers if you've never joined us for a Utah broadcast before. Also, if you've never joined us, we want to thank you for tuning in. As Gus Stout finds space, Gus Colonna finds space.
We almost added a third Stout there, huh?
That's right. I joke with Coach Gittleman that the defense is the third Stout, but just high there. Again, if you have questions for us, feel free to tweet at Utah Lacrosse, and we'll try to answer those on air. We want to thank our broadcast partner as well, Lax All-Stars, who is broadcasting this game on their channels. Try to look out for our Intermountain West family, as they're headquartered in Boise, though they claim to be part of the Pacific Northwest, but I don't like to argue that with them. So Washington with the clear. Goes back to Moreno. The player's a little soft-footed out there because of the snow. Don't want to slip. Good clear there by Washington. It's number 12, Sean Dack. And we'll see what the Huskies can do here. Last possession for the Huskies was a caused turnover by Chris Belcher. Score is 0-0 here, about a third of the way through the first quarter. Huskies being patient.
You can probably expect a lot of that today from the offensive side for the Huskies, getting it around again. They want to take that out of the ball. If you can see their sideline, they have about 3 subs, so this is probably going to be, every time they have it on offense, they're going to be looking to do.
Shot by Dak goes on the outside. Outletted to Jake Stout, who moves it up to Nutter, Jake Nutter, from Zionsville, Indiana. Goes back to Stout. Aaron Felstead with the ball. Gets it up to Reed Lanigan, who's going to go over to Cam Redmond. Redmond from Bountiful, Utah, gets past his man. Draws 3 slides, it seemed like. Utes with good ball movement here, but Washington able to recover. Stout with the shot and the goal at far pipe. Bounce shot by Stout. And that's sort of his bread and butter there, Duke.
Yep, that was beautiful offense. Got the defense to move, got a couple more passes, and just buried it. That was a great offensive possession out of Utah. And again, if you get the defense rotating like that, there's not a whole lot you can do on that end. So great possession on offense for the Utes.
Great shot placement as well on that far pipe. So Utah takes a 1-0 lead here. Utah has still never trailed this season. Been tied at 1-1 a couple times, but other than obviously 0-0. But other than that, have never trailed. Abizaid comes away with it, gets knocked over. Good hit. They're going to call a loose ball push, and Nutter's going to start with it. Abizaid played with Furman in the fall as a mid-year transfer.
He's been a huge difference maker for this team. Huge.
Absolutely. You know, that was one of the areas that Utah lacked last year, was a consistent face-off guy. As we see Jake Stout able to get past his man for the goal, and that's sort of his bread and butter. Yeah. So the Stouts getting the shots that they want here early in this first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like you said, he can do that in his sleep there, Tim. So, again, rolls to his left shoulder and just rips it top shelf. Great shot placement there. Again, good offensive possession.
We see one of the support staff shuffling a quick line down that midfield line while they had the chance.
It's actually one of my assistant coaches at Olympus.
Okay, who is it?
That's Andrew Sutton. He played last year.
Oh, yeah. He did, number 34. He was made famous by a picture taken after Q scored a goalie goal. They did those midair chest bump things, whatever they call those.
Yeah, I think that you nailed it. They're just called chest bumps.
It's more, whatever. I won't get into it. JoJo with the ball. Gets it up to Q. Quinault Mackey is from the Seattle area, Bonnie Lake specifically. His dad is a UW alum and is wearing the purple under his red as we see Reed Lanigan going low to low. Great goal by Lanigan.
Great offense there. Again, they're getting the defense to rotate. They're making one more pass, and time and room shots are really hard to stop. So good start for the Utes offensively.
We got a timeout by Washington. We're going to take the break with them. Join us on the other side for the remainder of the first quarter.
Lacrosse fans, let's talk for a minute about the Utah Lacrosse Founders Club. A lot of you out there are already members, but to those who aren't, we need you. Founders Club members want to see this team compete at the highest level of Division I lacrosse, so help out by signing up for a recurring monthly donation. These donations start at just $5 a month and get you season tickets, team merchandise, and access to team events. Your contributions go to making the team top-tier competitive as we usher in the Division I era. Coaches' salaries, player scholarships, team travel, helmets, recruiting trips, team meals, and more. These funds prepare the groundwork for a successful program. Please consider going to our donation page at uteslacrosse.com and becoming a Utah Lacrosse Founders Club member today. Go Utes!
What does University Credit Union and the Utah men's lacrosse team have in common? Surprisingly, a lot. Both like the color red. Both can be found here on campus. Both are great for the community. Both are well trained. And both are made up of really nice, friendly people.
You don't got anything on me. No, let's go. Square up. Not gonna happen.
Welcome back, lacrosse fans. 8:47 left in this first quarter. Utah 3, Washington 0. Washington coming off the timeout. Duke, what do you think was the talk in the Washington huddle?
They got to get better rotation on the defensive end, and when they get it on offense, they need to hold it for as long as possible, and they need to start getting some production.
Michael Abizade with the win. Nicholas Farnsworth picks it up. Gets it over to Stout, who finds Ian Elson. Gus Colonna with the ball. Looks like Utes have numbers. Colonna looks for that shot, which is one of his bread and butters, that kind of right side alley dodge. But the Utes opt to be patient with it. There's Liam getting space. Bounce shot goes high. Q comes away with it. Works the ball upfield to Elson, then to Gus Colonna. Back to Elson. Elson with a nice little dodge there. Slide was good, though. Elson pulls it out. Fernandez with space. Shot wide. Josh Stout with the backup. Stout off the restart. Goes 5-hole. Washington looks like they were trying to sub the guys between Stout there, and he takes advantage.
Stout, he's so good at beating the whistle and being ready to play, and I mean that's the easiest offense you can draw up, right? Just beat the team when they're not ready, and he takes it, gets top side, and again he exploits that 5-hole, which he loves doing.
Second goal of the game for Stout. That's going to give him 31 on the season. Utes lead here 4-0.
31 goals already. That's crazy.
We're about halfway through the schedule. Utes take on, after this game, a little bit of a break over spring break. We'll take on NCAA D2 team Westminster, who's just down the road here on March 30th. That's a Friday. Then they'll host Utah State on April 5th. Then they'll go at UVU on April 7th. A road trip to Colorado to play CSU on the 12th, Colorado on the 14th, and then at home against BYU on the 19th. So A couple big games coming up here for the Utes. Obviously, still need to win this one, so should be an interesting slate there. See how the Utes do as Jake Nutter comes away with it. Bo Powell getting his first touches of the game, number 4. Gets it up to Josh Stout. Abizade's going to run to the midfield line to get Aaron Felstead on. Washington has too many players on the field, and they're going to get the penalty. Flag down. Stout looks to the bench for the call.
Delayed sub.
Yep. So Utah with what do they call it? Delayed sub.
Delayed sub.
And then so that's gonna stop the play, which will give Utah a man-up opportunity after Washington had too many players on that end.
I think they called offsides. Yeah,
yep.
There you go. Those riding attackmen have to be careful today because they're pretty easy to lose your footing and slide over the line. I think that's exactly
true.
What happened. A lot of different things you got to take into consideration on a day like today.
No doubt. We see the Utah man-up team here. Q with the ball, gets it over to Kelowna. Back to Q. It's going to get it over to Jake Stout, who finds Josh Stout over to Felstead. Then you've got Cam Redmond doing battle in the middle. Stout with the with the nice time and space shot there on that wing, able to get the far pipe goal, and there's a flag down. So we'll see what the call is there. Regardless, Stout with the man-up goal.
Good. Time and room shot. One of the best shooters in the MCLA. It's tough. It's tough to stop, man.
Sure. Let's see if we can see what the flag was. Utes will have the man-up face-off. My hunch, I don't know the call, but my hunch is a late hit.
Yep. I think I heard him say late hit.
Okay. So Abizade out there, Felstead alone on this near wing. And they're going to call Washington with infraction there on the face-off. And Utah is still man up. Can hear Coach Marcus Holman yelling in the play. Felstead with the ball. Gets behind a Q, goes back to Felstead. Little yo-yo ball there. That's Jake Stout with it, being patient. Utah content to work it around here. Felstead finds Q. Thinking dry conditions, Q takes that one. Nice fake by Felstead. Goes wide. Utes with the backup. Stouts. Oh, Jake Stout on underbill to handle that. Looks like he might have taken his eye off the ball a little bit. So the Utes will have the ride while still man up.
Oh, wow. Lost it.
Errant pass, though. They're going to call over and back. And Washington's going to come up with it. So a little sloppy play there by both teams. Leads to a Washington possession. Number 10 with the ball. That's Drew Boyd. The Washington's half of the field is a lot wider.
Yeah.
If that's an indication of time of possession. About 5:17 left in this first quarter. We are here in Salt Lake City, Utah at Judge Memorial High School. Usually the Utes play at Utes soccer field, but it's got snow on it and don't want to rip it up too bad as it is a natural grass surface. The other alternative is there's a track and field complex up at the university, but the seating for fans is less than ideal. And there's 30 billion lines on it. So Judge Memorial just down the road from the university, about, what would you say, Duke, half a mile from the corner?
Yep, not even.
Of Rice Eccles?
Not even.
So a good location here for the Utes home game. They played several home games here before. Duke's a Judge alum.
Proud Judge alum.
Has spent many hours on this field. Duke also an MCLA alum, having played at Arizona and coached there as well. Spent 2 years coaching at Utah as well?
3 years at Utah.
3 years at Utah.
Yep.
See, a good play there by Utah, and they're going to get Nutter, who draws the penalty by number 14, Ben LaRoche. So a couple early penalties here for the Huskies.
Kind of shooting themselves in the foot there with light numbers. You can't afford to keep going man down there.
Sure. Utah was able to capitalize on one, unable on the other. So one for two for the Utes on man up today. Gus Colonna's going to start with it. Gets it over to Felstead. Looks like they added Luke Graney in place of Q. There's Graney with the ball now. Colonna over to Redmond, who goes to Stout. Stout unable to handle, but able to get the ground ball. Utes working it around here as we see Graney with the ball. Getting it up to Felstead. Penalty is released. Colonna thought he had space, works around. Shot goes wide. Utes with the backup.
Still good patience on offense, though. I mean, they're getting shots. They're not falling, but you like to see the patience. So I don't think the coaches will have any issues with that.
Yep, no doubt. That's Felstead with the ball. Utes moving around pretty well here, considering the conditions. Jake Stout tries to back in his guy. Good defense by Washington. Graney gets it up to Colonna. Gets it over to Jake Stout. Graney. Very patient here by the Utes. Jake Stout with the short stick matchup. Good defense by Washington. That's number 18, Garrett Sorensen. Snow still falling here in Salt Lake City. Again, about 30 minutes before game time, this field was clear.
Sun was shining a little bit too.
Yeah. So you see Cam Redmond go down the alley and hit that far pipe on the bouncer. Great placement by Redmond.
I don't know if you can drop a better offensive possession there. It's about they had the ball for a little over 2 minutes and it ended in a goal. That's a backbreaker from the defensive side. As you can see here, it's a great alley dodge, beautiful bouncer, and kind of a changeup a little bit there, but made it work.
Nice overhand shot, which the coaching staff preaches relentlessly.
Cam Redmond's a player who will do whatever the coaches say. So I coached him at Utah, and he was one of my favorites. So.
Absolutely. One of the few players remaining from, well, he's one of the only upperclassmen. Has been in the program now for 4 years. It's good to see him succeed as Abizade flicks it to Dean Anderson. Anderson, a Salt Lake City product, went to East High School, which is, that's a long pull throw away from where we're at. What's your trivia item on East High School, Duke?
What famous movie was filmed?
Perfect. That was the same one. Tweet us your answer as we see a goal here by Bo Powell, able to get past his man and get space with about 1:47 left in this first quarter. Utah leads 7-0. Duke, what did we see there by Powell?
Great. Again, he got to his strong hand, turned. Beautiful shot. Goalie had it, but just snuck in there. One thing, if you're Washington's coaches, you've seen 3 or 4 of these goals are just simple, not letting the guys get topside, and they're letting it happen, and it's tough to stop.
Again, we were going with a little trivia during that goal. Tweet at us if you know what famous movie was filmed at East High School in Salt Lake City. Washington coming away with the face-off win. Number 18, Garrett Sorensen. As we see Washington with one of their few possessions of the game.
They got to get a long possession here, Tim. It's absolutely vital if they want to stay in this game. And they have to get a long possession ending in a goal.
That would be ideal.
It's a tall task here.
We got a couple tweets, Duke. That trivia question really lit up the fans.
Love that.
Okay, so we've got Mike Calvert, who's a Utah alum.
Mike Calvert, love him.
I won't read you the other tweet he sent in, but he said High School Musical, he met his wife in that movie.
Wow.
I don't know if that
Classic
means
Calvert.
in the theater or if they were part of the movie. I'm not sure. Maybe he can tweet back in. I know she's in the dance industry, so she could have been extra. I don't know. Mike, tweet back at us with some clarification. Hannah tweets in High School Musical 1, 2, and 3, and then says, duh.
Wow. Love that.
Yeah.
Hannah just bringing it. Bringing the heat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bringing the heat on a snowy day. We need it. We need it.
We're going to have a flag down here. Looks like Tommy O'Day is going to go to the penalty box. 22 seconds left. Duke, one of those tricky times where you're man up near the end of a quarter. Do you just hold it, or do you go for it?
It's a 30-second push, so you got to go. If it was a minute penalty, I think you can afford to hold on to it. But given the time and the score, I think if you're Washington, you got to go. We'll see what they do, though.
Calvert tweets in and clarifies they were both in it.
Wow, Calvert.
So, not surprising, to be honest with you, if you know Mike Calvert.
Yep.
That's an impressive feat. We got another tweet coming in for East High Trivia that we'll get to in a minute. It's a slight dig from a rival Highland Ram. But that's going to be the end of the first quarter here, folks. Utah 7, Washington 0. We're going to take a quick commercial break and come back for the second quarter.
Tribal West is the first name in lacrosse out west. For more than 15 years, Tribal West has been gearing up beginners to ballers. Our online store is super easy, and we save you time and money. In team stores, let us do your work. Our deals for both men's and women's MCLA teams are flat out lax-tastic. We just made that up. Sublimated unis, made in the USA, and delivered on time. Tribal West, proud to be family-owned and player-operated. Tribal West, look good, play better.
Welcome back, lacrosse fans. Good first quarter there for Utah. Started slow, didn't score until the 9:51 mark, but the Utes then put in 7 straight goals and against the Washington Huskies. Obviously, you can see the conditions are less than ideal, but both teams have to play in them, Duke. What did you like out of the Utes from that first quarter?
Well, I mean, you got to love the patience that they displayed on offense. I think that 2 goals before they had about a 2-minute possession that ended in a goal, and they're not forcing anything, and you love to see that, especially given the conditions. So if you're Utah's coaching staff, you got to love to see that. Defensively, we really haven't been able to see much because they've probably 99% of the time they've had it on offense. So you got to kind of just keep it up. Don't get complacent.
Washington will start with the ball after Utah was penalized late in the quarter, and the Washington Huskies retained possession. It's Tommy O'Day that they got with the push. 27 in white, 0 in red. It's a little roster thing to be careful of if you're a diehard Ute fan.
Welcome back to Buffalo.
8 seconds remaining in the penalty. PA announcer welcomed everyone back into Buffalo. You gotta like that, a little humor out of the PA announcer. Duke, the last game we called against Boise State, you mentioned that when a team's down like this, it's important just to try to win quarters. Do you think that's what Washington will try to do here, just win this quarter?
No, I think there's still time. They're only down 7 goals. That's within reach. But when they start getting down, double digits at half, that's when you try to put a focus on it. But I think if I'm Washington, I still think I have a chance to win this game. So I think they're still going to fight that way. Okay.
Jake Nutter comes in from the midfield line when the penalty was over and intercepts the ball and worked the ball to Belcher, who shot wide. Utah with the backup. Ball's with Reed Lanigan. Gets the ball to Redmond, who finds space. Nice little fake, but then shoots it lefty. It goes wide.
Just a bit wide. Backed up by the Utes.
Bo Powell gets it up to Aaron Felstead. Gets it over to Cam Redmond. 32-23 is Reed Lanigan. Lanigan again from Memphis, Tennessee. Redmond from Bountiful. Felstead from Alpine, Utah, which is about 40 minutes south of here. Gets it to Graney. Graney, another one of the only upperclassmen on the team. Good pressure there by Washington. Number 21, Adam Norgard. Josh Stout with a shorty matchup. He's got to like his odds there. Slide comes. Patience the key here for the Utes as Bo Powell drives. Spins, tries to skip pass. That's going to go out of bounds. Coach Holman with the shortstop play there. And we'll see how Washington does on this clear. He's going to get triple teamed by the Utes. Ball is down. Seth Neeleman comes up with it. He's going to get knocked down from the ground, gets it to Farnsworth. Ball is still in that little area, and Washington's going to come away with it. Number 10, Drew Boyd. Called his name a few times today. And Washington will retain. So long possession there for the Utes that ends in a turnover off an errant pass. Snow is still coming down. Got to give a shout out to our grounds crew, one of which is assistant coach Tim McDermott. He wears several hats for the team. Nice move by number 12, Sean Dack.
Great move.
Able to find space, but goes just wide.
Bounces wide, back up.
Goes off his helmet, and still Heaton's going to come away with it.
Great defensive play by Steelhead. They call him Blue Steel. He's been looking
Gets it up to Bo Powell, who finds space. He's going to slow it down. Utes with 2 pulls in the offensive half. Still is going to come back and give it to Gus, who's got space. Goes to Powell, but unable to collect, and the ball goes out of bounds. So a little bit sloppy here, Duke, as you might expect in these conditions. Looking over some first quarter stats, Utah went 7 of 8 in that first quarter. 2 for 2 on clears. Costa registered no saves. And it looks like we had 15 shots by the Utes compared to just 1 for Washington in that first quarter. So.
And that would explain the score.
Absolutely. So you see Dak with the ball. Don't forget to send us your tweets, your questions. If you feel you've got a good trivia question to ask about a local player, go for it. It's Aiden Christian going to work against number 5, Aiden Major. That's the battle of the Aidens. Even spell it the same way. And Jake Stout coming away with it. Christian transfer from Bellarmine. So we see Stout find Mackey, who's going to push to the crease. Good save, though, and we've got a flag.
That is a tough draw for Washington.
They're going to call push on him?
Yeah.
Okay. A little late.
That's real late, but Real bad call, but you know what? It's all right.
Looks like it's number 3, Will Yerkes. I was watching the Furman versus Richmond game earlier today. The announcer kept calling it the sin bin, which I think is more associated with hockey, but I guess it applies in this case. Great game by the Paladins, able to get a 1-goal victory over Richmond for their first win of the game, or first win of the year. So, interesting result. Richmond had the ball with 3 seconds left, drew up like a little screen man up play where a guy caught the ball right in front of the crease, and he shot it right off the goalie's helmet. So, man up goal there by Utah as a little hidden ball trickery leads to Josh Stout on the wing, able to get that goal, 9:41.
The cool thing about hidden ball tricks in this weather is you don't have to work very hard to hide it.
That's right. Although it is the orange ball, so
That's
maybe
true.
maybe that has something to do with it. But we see Stout to Stout there for the goal on this replay. Nice shot placement there by Stout. He's not going to miss those much. It's like Colin Lee is out there for the Utes at the face-off X. Going up against Nick Lammers. Lee hails from Watchung, New Jersey. Watchung. Utes able to come up with it. Good ground ball there by Stout. It's Matt Finelli with the ball, his first touch of the game. Finelli from Seal Beach, California.
Beautiful area.
Absolutely, has probably never played in snow as well. A couple first-timers out there probably. Shot goes wide by Elson.
Forced that one.
Not the best shot. That was kind of his bread and butter last year. Maybe trying to try it again. Ball is still down. It's number 24, CJ Schuster. No relation to Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, that'd be cool if there was.
The former wide receiver at USC who torched the Utes every year.
That's an understatement.
So Washington here with possession, still unable to find the back of the net. Good shot goes wide by number 5, Aiden Major.
Major finds a little wide.
The Utes and the Huskies played last year, Duke, in the Pac-12 shootout. Utah coming away with an 18-10 win there. So familiar opponents.
I said it last weekend too, but it's awesome to see these Pac-12 teams starting to make it a priority to play each other every year, and Washington and Oregon making the trip down this year is awesome to see. So hopefully they keep that up.
Definitely fun to see. Potentially one day it could be a Pac-12 conference game at the NCAA Division II or Division I level, which would be obviously fun to see. Keep our fingers crossed for that one. Duke, one of the questions last game that I was calling with Drew Bicker asked, who would you like to see be the next Pac-12 school to go Division I? And then who do you think it will be? So twofold question there.
So I'd like to see one of the LA schools go, just because it'll only help. Ooh, nice play there.
Good play there. Goal by number 5, Aiden Major. They're going to have a flag down as well. Ref Johnson unable to get his flag out in time. It must have been tucked into the pants. So good goal there by Washington.
With 7:12 remaining in the first half. Number 39, Colin Lee.
Let's see what they call. I didn't see what they called there, Tim.
I think it was going to be like a late, looks like unnecessary roughness.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think one of the LA schools would be interesting. Some of those upstate New York kids from coming out to the beach to play some lacrosse. I said it last week. this Washington school I don't think is very far off. Again, well-funded school and tons of talent in the Seattle area. I could see Colorado making the jump pretty soon here.
That's what I said. That's who I want to see. Yeah. It would be Colorado. I just think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But then as far as who I think it'll be, I don't think it will be Colorado. But
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of anyone's guess at this point. No one's really been public about any moves. I think that, it'd be interesting to see if there's a smaller school out west, maybe not necessarily in the Pac-12, but a smaller school that brings on lacrosse. I think of like Furman or, Richmond. Those are both smaller schools, but someone that fits kind of that profile, I think would be interesting. There's a slew of schools in California like that, like Cal Poly San Luis Obispo or UCSB, Chapman, Chapman, LMU, yeah. So a bunch of different schools that you might want to watch out for as well. So it'll be interesting, though. It'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of schools are just waiting to see what happens at Utah.
Yep.
And then if obviously it's wildly successful, which we anticipate that it will be, then I think you'll see more schools kind of jump on board. But we'll see. It'll be fun. We are halfway through the second quarter. Utah leads 8-1. Washington able to get a nice goal on their last possession.
They desperately needed it.
Absolutely.
They also needed it to count for 7 points. But
Shot by number 2.
Shot there by Utah.
Picked up by the keeper, number 15.
Nice hit by Nutter. Ball still on the turf. That gets the home fans excited. And we're going to get a white ball here. Good play, good ride by the Utes. Q gets it over to Josh Stout, who goes up to Aaron Felstead. Felstead drives, nothing, looks back, finds JoJo. Shot goes wide. A little bit of transition there for the Utes.
Beat the whistle and got a shot off. You love to see it.
Aaron Felstead starts with it. Goes to JoJo, who I think just missed it completely. Maybe a little miscommunication there. Snow is rooster tailing. Josh Stout with the hit. Chris Belcher with the nice check. Ball is still down. And Seth Neeleman comes away with it there for the Utes. Looking to push in transition. Gets it up to Q. Q pulls it out, goes to Cam Redmond. He's going to get it over to Lanigan. Who's going to get it onto Kelowna. And the Utes will settle here. Again, if you have questions for us, go ahead and tweet at Utah Lacrosse.
Shot by number 1.
Got a question from OO Parker OO, who I believe is Parker Ellison. Big Utah fan. He asked, what's the Ref Johnson's first name and where did he play lacrosse? We were just talking there, Parker. We don't know which one it is. Hard to tell up here.
We know for a fact that his initials are JJ and he played lacrosse. But
so it's either Jeremy or Jason. They played high school ball at West High School. Played collegiately at the U. And did they play at Westminster or just coach at Westminster?
Played.
They played. I think they might have, yeah. And then they coached there as well. As we have a Utah timeout here, 3:56 left in this first quarter. We're going to take the timeout with them. Join us on the other side.
What does University Credit Union and the Utah men's lacrosse team have in common? Surprisingly, a lot. Both like the color red. Both can be found here on campus. Both are great for the community. Both are well trained. And both are made up of really nice, friendly people.
You don't got anything on me. Let's go. Square up.
Not gonna. Let me get back to you on that.
And we're back here, fans, from snowy Salt Lake City. Utah leads 8-1 over the Washington Huskies. Utah coming out of the timeout. A couple personnel changes. That's Luke Graney in there with the ball. Gets it over to Gus Colonna. He's going to get it up to Liam Kavanaugh Fernandez. Gets it over to Jake Stout. Stout, that's his move. Sees the slide coming, offs the pull out, goes to Cole Watson, who finds space. And Cole with the shot. The funny thing about Cole is he always scores on his first touch, and he rarely misses. Doesn't get a ton of time, but always scores. So a good goal there by Watson.
Good little down pick there. He has hands free. And again, the goalie was actually on the ball, but just missed the save.
Good placement there.
Number 39, Tyler Lee. Let's go, Nathan Berger!
Sloppy quarter so far for the Utes. Let's see if they can end strong and maybe get up to 13 there.
Could be a hold call on the Huskies. Utes take over.
So a face-off win there for Colin Lee. Dean Anderson's going to take it. So we see the Utes working around there. Cole Watson from Flower Mound, Texas.
Is that in the Dallas area?
It is. Yeah.
A lot of good lacrosse out there.
I believe it is. Don't quote me on that. I've been to Texas once, and that was a couple weeks ago with the Utes. So Reed Lanigan gets it over to, that looks like Aaron Felstead. Finds space, nice shot, good save there by Moreno.
Aaron Felstead, saved by the keeper, Chris Moreno.
Moreno outlets to number 20, Jaron Anderetti, and he fails to get it back to Moreno. And the Utes on a tough ride there. Josh Stout, one of the toughest riding attackmen in the country. And you can see why there as Luke Graney starts with it. Ball's with Watson. Watson gets it up to Lanigan. Lanigan down the alley, goes behind with Stout. Picked by Watson. Stout goes back to Watson, who finds Graney, who quick sticks it in. Good ball movement there by the Utes as Watson finds Graney right on the crease. 2:05 left in this first half. Utes lead 10-1.
That all started with Stout's ride. Got it back and made him pay. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Good play there by the Utes.
Nothing says St. Patty's Day like tacos. We've got the taco truck up and available for you. Number 14, Ben LaRose, Lord Pistachio,
Colin Lee out there for the Utes, going up against number 14, Ben LaRoche for the Huskies. Nate Berger on this near side for the Utes. Dalton Ziegler on the opposite side for the Utes. It's either Ziegler or Ziegler, I apologize. Pass back to Costa, gets it up to Tommy O'Day. It's going to go over to Kavanaugh Fernandez. Good play there by Liam. Able to get a touch. Finds Dalton. Dalton gets it over to Luke Graney. 1:30 left in this ball game. Excuse me, the first half.
Washington would like it to be the ball game.
Q Mackey with the ball. Over to Kelowna. Kavanaugh Fernandez takes on his defender and rips it. What a goal.
Mean. That's just big boy ball. I'm better than you, I'm bigger than you, and I'm going to prove it. That's just tough dodge there.
Great shot, too. I know the coaching staff will be happy with that as we see this replay here. Ooh.
Number 39.
So the Utes lead 11-1. 1:05 left in this first half. Colin Lee out there again for the Utes. Jake Nutter on the far side, Nick Farnsworth on the near side. Defenders are Aiden Christian, Still Heaton, Tommy O'Day, and Seth Neeleman. Tommy O'Day and Seth Neeleman, both from New Canaan, Connecticut. A couple years difference between them, but still New Canaan I believe they're the Rams alumni. Good to see them on the field together. I believe their colors are black, white, and red as well. So
perfect combination.
Always fun. 50 seconds left here as Washington is going to call a timeout. We'll go to commercial break with them. We'll be back after.
I've always worn Cascades. I've got pictures of my first helmets, back when it was sport helmets. My dad, I was really fortunate. Every birthday, he would get me the latest Cascade, so that was always something I could look forward to. So I was always in the best helmet that Cascade made. My teammates were always envious of me.
You know, I've been wearing a Cascade helmet since my first time in 5th grade and haven't looked back or changed, and wore it in college, wore it in the pros. So.
Yeah, I've always worn Cascade. Anytime I've even tried anything else on, I've never liked it. I don't really like the look of other helmets.
Growing up, Cascades were always the helmet of choice for me. I mean, I remember I just got into the game when they first got rid of the buckets, so the tie backs back in the day. When the first Cascade came out, and that was wild, it was revolutionary.
I've only worn Cascade. I have no interest in trying on any other helmet. I feel like when you're already wearing the best helmet that looks the best and feels the best, then what's the point?
No matter what helmet somebody wears, if they have to wear another one, they're going to tell you that they'd rather be wearing this.
Going to take the ball out after the timeout. 51 seconds.
We are back after the timeout here with Washington. Number 24 with the ball. CJ Schuster going up against Steele. Gets past, finds space, and able to get the goal. So maybe a new strategy there for the Huskies.
Yeah. Just run.
Just run past your guy.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
39 seconds left. Kind of surprising. Steele, one of the faster players on the team.
I think he was a little uneasy on his feet given the conditions, but if that's the case, you can't be pressuring that far out. He's kind of a little bit lighter on his feet there, thinking he's going to slip. So.
Yeah, great goal there by Schuster. His 8th of the season. Got a tweet from one of our most loyal fans, Gus's mom.
I had a feeling that's what you were going to say.
She says, "Where's the Zamboni?"
It's a good question. I think we need one. Let's get on that. Let's get some more founders, and let's get on a Zamboni. Let's use this as an advertising opportunity. If you guys want a Zamboni, we need 20 signups by halftime. You got 38 seconds to do it, and let's do it.
We'll put your name and logo, whatever it may be, on the side.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's get a lot of logos, a lot of people on it, and let's get it done.
That's Duke's career coming out of him here on the weekend.
Very true.
Duke works for one of the big firms in town, working on brand management. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Owned by a big lacrosse guy.
Yeah, CEO, not owned, but yeah.
Oh, okay, CEO.
Ran by.
There you go.
There you go.
Good ball movement there by the Utes. That's Felstead to Jake Stout, the Lone Peak High connection. Those two are the same age, have played since they were very young together, so good to see that succeeding at this level as well. That's going to make it 12-2.
Yeah, you gotta. I think it takes about 5 seconds to score a goal in lacrosse, so you got time for 2 more. Hopefully, they can get this up to 13 and have a nice 11 goal cushion here.
Looks like they've got Abizade out there again with Belcher on the far wing, Jake Nutter on the near wing.
Number 14, Ben LaRoche is going to face off against number 6. Like Abizade.
Washington comes away with it. Ball gets up to number 26. Steele checks him. Ball is still down. Stays in play. Makes a small snowman. And that's going to do it for the first half here. Your number 1 ranked Utah Utes 12. Washington 2. We're going to go to commercial and be back for the second half.
I've always worn Cascades. I've got pictures of my first helmets, back when it was sport helmets. My dad, I was really fortunate. Every birthday, he would get me the latest Cascade, so that was always something I could look forward to. So I was always in the best helmet that Cascade made. My teammates were always envious of me.
You know, I've been wearing a Cascade helmet since my first time in 5th grade and haven't looked back or changed, and wore it in college, wore it in the pros.
Yeah, I've always worn Cascade. Anytime I've even tried anything else on, I've never liked it. I don't really like the look of other helmets.
Growing up, Cascades were always the helmet of choice for me. I mean, I remember I just got into the game when they first got rid of the buckets, so the tie backs back in the day. When the first Cascade came out, and that was wild, it was revolutionary.
I've only worn Cascade. I have no interest in trying on any other helmet. I feel like when you're already wearing the best helmet that looks the best and feels the best, then what's the point?
No matter what helmet somebody wears, if they have to wear another one, they're going to tell you that they'd rather be wearing this.
My name is Grayson Goodyear. I'm from Morrison, Colorado, and I play attack. I picked Utah because it was very close to my home. The scenery is just beautiful. It's an amazing school. The academics are great. The athletics are great, and just an amazing opportunity to play lacrosse. Probably my favorite part about campus is just the views. I mean, everywhere you look, it's just unbelievably gorgeous, and you drive 20 minutes and you're in the middle of the mountains, and it's just awesome. When I'm not playing lacrosse or going to school, I'm hanging out with all my buddies. I've made some really good friends on the lacrosse team. We're always just out and about doing stuff. I'm looking forward to the spring season probably most this year. I'm really excited. The few scrimmages that we've had so far have been really, really fun. I'm just looking forward to that. It's very difficult. They put you through a lot of mental and physical strain, but I think that is probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
My name is August Colonna. I'm from Williamstown, Massachusetts, and I play midfield. I picked Utah because it's a state that I'd never been to before, and I love trying out new places and new things. Obviously, the lacrosse team. Wouldn't be having as good a time if I wasn't here with all my friends and my coaches. So definitely makes school a lot better being here. My favorite part of the campus is the library, because I'm a bookworm and I'm always in there getting my work done, and academics come first. This is an embarrassing question. I play a lot of video games, especially with my teammates, and then I also enjoy playing a little pickup basketball with the guys as well. I'm really looking forward to taking the first step in the right direction towards a really great season, and hopefully coming out on top in a lot of our games. Honestly, it's a blessing. It's an honor to be part of the team, and for the past 2 years now, I couldn't think of anything else that I'd rather be doing with my time.
Lacrosse fans, let's talk for a minute about the Utah Lacrosse Founders Club. A lot of you out there are already members, but to those who aren't, we need you. Founders Club members want to see this team compete at the highest level of Division I lacrosse, so help out by signing up for a recurring monthly donation. These donations start at just $5 a month and get you season tickets, team merchandise, and access to team events. Your contributions go to making the team top-tier competitive as we usher in the Division I era. Coaches' salaries, player scholarships, team travel, helmets, recruiting trips, team meals, and more. These funds prepare the groundwork for a successful program. Please consider going to our donation page at uteslacrosse.com and becoming a Utah Lacrosse Founders Club member today. Go Utes!
Welcome back, fans. The snow is still coming down here in Salt Lake City. Score is 12-2 for Utah over the Washington Huskies. Good shot there on Michael Abizaid, getting ready for the face-off there against Ben LaRoche.
Beautiful January day here in Salt Lake.
It was weird. We had a very mild winter. Didn't snow really at all in December or January, but last few weeks have definitely snowed a lot, but it melts pretty quickly, which is nice. As Abizaid comes up with the face-off wing, gets it a stout. Good save by Moreno. Ball still on the ground. Coming up with it is Washington. I think, though, Duke, the irony is this will be melted by Monday at least.
Yeah.
Maybe even sooner. So just kind of the way it goes here. So Washington looks to clear. Good defense there by Belcher. Oh, nice double team. Dean Anderson laying the lumber. Nutter comes away with it. Gets it back up to Dean. So both teams kind of starting where they left off in that second half. Or excuse me, first half for the second half. Duke, if you were Utah, Coach Holman, what would you be telling your team at the break?
Well, you know, it was sloppy there in the second quarter for a little bit. You cannot get complacent. You want to always be stepping forward, not taking any steps back. And so you gotta make sure you execute on offense. You know, not letting them get anything easy from their offensive side, and you gotta just keep plugging away. You gotta keep plugging away. Again, you can't afford to do any steps back. So.
Okay, we had a flag down there. Looks like Washington was offsides. So see the Utah man-up unit. Get a good look at the Huskies uniforms there. Going with the purple lids, black tops, and purple shorts. I like their look. I think it looks nice. Mm-hmm. They always, I know Washington takes pride in what their helmets look like, which is always fun. Utah going with the white helmets, white jerseys, and red shorts for the first time this year. That ball's going to go off the top of Felstad's stick and out of bounds. So Utah still man up, but the Huskies will try to clear it.
13:40 remaining.
Ball goes behind to Moreno. Graney's going to chase him down. The ball goes straight to the guy who's just released from the penalty. Either fortune or just a good heads-up play there. As we see Washington with the ball for the first time this half. Don't forget to send us your questions, your comments about the first half, any final score predictions. Send them in to @UtahLacrosse.
Would love to hear anything from the fans out there.
We do love our fans. We, again, thank you for tuning in. In the words of Jay-Z, you could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us. I think he says me.
That's it. Yeah, it is actually me. That's a beautiful quote, Tim. That was deep.
You're either joining us on our utes.com/gameday page as we see a shot go wide here by Washington. You could be following along on or with Lax All-Stars, our broadcast partner for this event. Wherever you are watching this game, though, we appreciate it. If you're just joining us here, Utah up 12-2. They were up 7-0 after the first quarter. Good ball movement by Washington, but the ball hits the turf as Nutter comes away with it. It's looking to clear, ball down. Goes back to Washington. It goes over the midfield line. And Watson comes away with it, but then gets double teamed and it goes out of bounds. Ball's going to go back to Washington. Rusty K check by Gus. Ball goes out, but he loses his stick.
Timed that perfectly.
Let's highlight real material right there. from Kelowna. Kelowna, one of the captains on this team, along with Aaron Felstead and Seth Neeleman. If you're into podcasts, you should check out the Utah Lacrosse podcast, which we've interviewed those 3 captains, as we see a shot there by Ben LaRoche, able to find the back of the net there on Costa.
A great shot. Just running down the alley, strong hand. Rips it top cheese there.
Score is 12-3.
It's a great shot.
Good shot there by LaRoche. Able to find space. Nick Lammers out there for Washington, going up against number 6, Mike Abizade for the Utes. Far side is Dean Anderson, number 20. Great shot there by our cameramen. Shout out to our camera crew today. Out there braving the elements, so we don't have to. Not sure what the call was there, but the Utes end up with it as Belcher gets it to Graney. Graney's going to get it up to Jake Stout. Utah still getting some of their personnel on here. Ian Elson with the ball. Belcher fakes like he's running off and loses his man. He's still wide open.
Wide open.
Stout finds him. Belcher's going to move it to Watson, who tries to dump it in, and a good save there by Moreno. And they're going to get Watson in the crease. Washington ball. Good little play there by the Utes, unable to convert. Watson picks off the pass, though, finds Stout, who buries it. Good heads-up play there by the Utes.
Going back to that, just a beautiful finish by Stout there, but going back to that play by Belcher, that's just a high lacrosse IQ play there, getting your guy going, thinking you're going on the midline, and then back cutting him. He was wide open there for about 8 seconds, but they couldn't find him.
I mean, in theory, they were man up for those few seconds while Washington was subbing. So good play. All started with Belcher. Got our line crew out there sweeping the field. I think that's my nephew. No, that's not. Just kidding. It looked like him. Abizade out there for the Utes, going up against Ben LaRoche. Seth Neeleman on the near side. Cam Redmond on the far side for the Utes. Ball's down. Redmond tries to scoop it up. Unable to. Washington comes away with it. Number 26, Kyle Deege. Nice trail check by Seth. Ball pops up. Steele's going to get it, and he's off to the races. Steele gets a touch in the box, looks up. Finds Abizade, who's unable to collect, but Graney gets it back, shoots wide. And the Huskies are going to get it and look to clear here. Big hit by Jake Stout. Oh, excuse me, Luke Graney. Still picks it up and scores, but before that, the flag down.
That's terrible.
What do you think they got here, Duke?
Push, maybe unnecessary roughness.
Okay. It did look like Luke's stick might have been a little high. Is it on Utah or Washington? Yeah. Okay. It's like Steele's trotting off.
Yeah, they got probably unnecessary on Steele.
Okay.
I don't think they can call push with possession because they didn't have possession, but you never know. It's always an adventure with some of the officials.
It's a good look at Steele getting a talking to from Coach Holman, Marcus Holman. So we have a man-up opportunity for the Huskies.
Oh.
Gonna lock him in there.
Wow. 2 minute locked in for an illegal body check up high.
Okay.
Didn't see it from my vantage point, but very well could have been the right call.
We are up higher than the rest of the refs. Up here in the press box at Judge Memorial High School. So we see Washington working it around. They have the opportunity to be very patient if they wish. Shot looks like went wide by number 12, Sean Dack. Your man down unit for the Utes right now is Dean Anderson, Aiden Christian, Ben Adams, Chris Belcher, and Seth Neeleman. Ball goes inside, but finds the turf. Ben Adams gets a pull on it, but flicks it up. Washington collects. Smart to move it there. Crossfield pass shot. Looks like it hit someone. And it's still Husky ball here. Utes doing a good job of not allowing any easy shots while they're still man down. And there's probably about a minute left here in this man now. Great play. Good defense. Ball goes out. Couple tweets coming in. Tribal West Lacrosse, the local lac shop here in Sandy, Utah, about 30 minutes south of here. So we see a shot deflected there. Ball still on the turf. And Ben Adams is going to come up with it. Turns, finds Dean Anderson. Utah still man down. Costa with it, gets it over to Aiden. Aiden's going to send it to Seth Neeleman, who found space.
Oh, wow.
Ball is down, check, good check there. Luke Graney's going to chase it down. Good defense by Luke. Ball pops out. Whistles everywhere. No signals. I think they called the push there.
They did.
Okay. Tribal West Lacrosse tweeting in, thankful for the broadcast today so we could feel a part of the game while streaming it in our shop for the customers. Thanks, fellas. Thanks to Tribal West, longtime lacrosse staple here in the state. Drew Bicker, my co-host for the last broadcast, tweets in, is the snow on the ground, does it benefit the offense or the defense? What do you think?
That's a good question. I think it benefits the defense in the sense that it's a little bit more of a sloppy play, but I'd say offense definitely has an advantage when you're taking a guy one-on-one because it's a lot harder to hold your feet on the defensive side. So if you can get, from a defensive perspective, if you get him moving the ball multiple times, definitely benefits the defense. But offense, if you get a guy just running downhill, it definitely benefits the offense there.
Okay, so the answer is depends on how you're playing.
Yep.
Okay, I like it. So we see the ball go out of bounds there. Coach Holman's second shortstop play of the game. Coach Holman, 2 outs already in this one. If he gets another, he can go home. That's the rumor. Our friend Steve Heyman tweeting in. Can you give us some insight into the day in the life of a Utah lacrosse player and what recruits can expect from becoming a Ute? You want me to take that one, Duke?
You got that one.
Okay.
You're closer to the team than I am.
So a typical day looks like, or a week in the life, I guess. They lift still 3 times a week, and then they're going to practice 3 times a week if there's no game that week. Practices, if there's no snow outside, no snow on the ground, I should say, are going to be at 7 a.m. You have to be there about 6:45. You have to be ready by 6:45 a.m. And those go until about 9. If they're up in the field house, they're going to be either from 8 to 10 at night, or they're going to be they have a Thursday slot from 10 to midnight. So, opposite ends of the spectrum for practice times. Yep. And then the lifts are going to be about an hour and a half of lifting, and those vary. Those are run by our strength and conditioning coach, Parker Teagle. As we see Reed Lanigan come up with the ball in the one-on-one shot. Great save, though, by Moreno. And Washington able to scoop it up there. So that's what the fall pretty much looked like. That's pretty much every week as we see a big rip there by Washington. Notice the goalie change there for Utah as Zach Johns sees his first action of the game for the Utes. Score is 13-4. 5:33 left. What recruits can expect is, obviously going into next year, it's going to be it's Division I lacrosse, and so it's
a full-time job.
A full-time job. Lots of things expected of you on and off the field. This coaching staff very big on academics, obviously, as they should be. Very big on community outreach. Very big on just presenting the team in positive light in public, and so. You know, it's all about attitude. The team relies a lot on the pillars of Utah lacrosse. And so those are going to be, let's see if I can name them: gratitude, honesty, trust, passion, and humility. And so those kind of define the program. So if you don't maybe fit into, if you're not exemplifying those attributes, those traits, then it's hard to exist in this environment. So. Yeah, good question though by Steve. You know, I have spent a lot of time with the team. Obviously, I travel with the team, and so I can assure you that the coaching staff cares about each of the players equally, no matter if you're the star or if you're riding the pine. But they're just deeply involved. I know the last trip they each had a commitment to spend quality time one-on-one with individual players, talking to them about family, how they're liking it. You know, Coach Holman spent time with a player who got a lot of playing time last year but hasn't gotten a lot this year, and the player just told him, look, I still love it. You know, even though I'm not playing as much, I know I'm not as good as some of the new guys you brought in, but I just love it. I love being on the team. Like, you know, nothing's really changed for me, even though I'm not getting as much time. So it's I haven't been in depth with many other college programs, but I can imagine that we're on the top end of culture and all those things. So it's in my opinion, if you're a kid living west of the Mississippi, you should at least give Utah a shot and see if it's a good fit. And I don't see a reason why Utah couldn't be on the list of every recruit. Obviously, you know, it might not be the right fit. Maybe the level of play isn't quite there, but definitely come, you know, fill out the recruitment form on the website. And I know the coach, you know, some coaches don't even look at those, but I can guarantee they do. So yeah, lots of positives going for the program, obviously, and then obviously going Division I next season is exciting. So it'll bring on a whole new level of competition, maybe a higher level, obviously, of play, but should be exciting. It'll be a good transition for the Utes.
Yeah. And, you know, just kind of what you were talking about from the culture perspective, that's why, you know, we invite Steele Heaton as much as we can to practice, to talk to the kids, and Chad and Andrew with the experience from Holman. They have nothing but just fantastic things to say about how the coaches brought them into the program, and, you know, trickling that down to the kids at Olympus. That's why something that I don't take for granted one bit, and kind of I try to learn through them from what Coach Holman, how he handles situations. So absolutely, it's definitely helped me personally as a coach, and you know, I'm a huge fan of what they're doing here, and you're totally right. From a culture perspective, you're going to be pretty hard pressed to find what they have going here in Salt Lake City, and so it's an awesome thing to see. Again, it only helps out the lacrosse community from the youth all the way up to high school and beyond. So.
Absolutely, the coaches are very committed to being out in the community. As you see a shot there by Q go wide. You know, they love going out and doing clinics. They love, you know, I run the Facebook page, and there was a local coach who wrote a message, and I sent a text to the coaches and said, hey, how do you want me to respond to this? And Coach Holman, Brian Holman, replied and said, send me his email address. I'll talk to him.
That's
you know,
awesome.
and so that's something that Coach Holman's all about. And they love it here. They love Utah. So
how could you not? Look at this beautiful weather.
Nice spring day here in Salt Lake City. As the Utes here late in this third quarter, leading 13-4.
I just took a peek out in the stands. There's actually a lot of diehards here. Love to see that.
A lot of diehards, a lot of umbrellas.
A lot of umbrellas.
It's understandable. It's actually not too cold. It's just, you know, that thick snow. As we see a great shot there by Kelowna getting his first of the game.
On a feed by the mayor, Aaron Felsted. On this St. Patty's Day, how about a little YouTube?
Good O there. Good patience by Felstead and Kelowna just rips at 5-hole. They've exploited another goalie that just struggles with the 5-hole, so you gotta love seeing that.
Yeah. Coach Holman talking to Gus there. Will Manny getting into his ear. Will and Gus have a special relationship. They were both at Wagner for a little bit. Will was a graduate assistant, and Gus was obviously a player there. Their paths crossed again as we see Conley out there winning the face-off. Coming up with the ground ball. Good defense by Washington, though. Ball's on the turf, gets triple teamed, and Q's going to come up with it. Gets it over to Stout, goes back to Q, gets it up to Redmond. Utes getting on their personnel. See Felstead come on and Kelowna come on. Felstead finds some space, gets it over to Kelowna. Shot goes wide. Watson on the backup. Crossfield pass to Gus, unable to handle it. Collects the ground ball though. Moves it up to Redmond, who has trouble collecting it. So probably a result of the weather there, Duke. This ball goes over and back. Washington ball. Got a flag down as we see 18. Garrett Sorensen finding space, but Kelowna with the nice trail check, and that's going to stop the play as Cam Redmond comes up with it. So about 2 minutes left here late in this third quarter. Utah leads 14-4. We're going to have the grounds crew out there go clean the crease real quick. Your man down defense for the Utes going to be Chris Belcher, Seth Neeleman, Aiden Christian, Dean Anderson, and Steele Heaton.
Yep, it's a long one. They're going to lock him in. That could potentially be definitely a 2-minute, probably locked in. Belcher's got to break down there. That was a terrible approach that he took.
Well-timed little shifty move by the Washington player.
Oh, they only gave him 1 minute. That's good. Good to see.
Utah 2-man down here.
Huskies find themselves in a 2-man up position.
So see what the Ute defense can do. Last game they killed a 3-man down penalty. Costa came up with a huge save. Looks like there's one penalty release, so short-lived. Ute still man down though as Nutter runs in. There's a flag down. I'm not sure if that was. It is. Did he run on too early?
Sure, I thought it. Huh. I don't. That wouldn't be.
Interference. Okay.
Oh, we're getting pretty tic-tac here in Salt Lake City, guys. Got to apologize to the viewers here.
Utes are again down 2 men. 1:16 left in the third quarter. Utah goalie is Zach Johns. Came in about midway through this quarter. Johns from Henderson, Nevada. Played at Coronado High School.
Good program out in Coronado.
Yeah, Zach's actually a phenomenal goalie. I'd argue we have one of the best 1-2 combos in the country.
Yeah. A lot of good lacrosse in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
A lot of good lacrosse.
Zach, a freshman. Costa transfers from St. John, so Costa has more game experience.
That's another thing on the recruiting aspect. The Utes have such an advantage for the next X amount of time until another program decides to make the jump. But I mean, they can pick from Southern California or Las Vegas area, and it's going to be the closest school outside of like a Denver.
Sure.
But, even some of those Colorado kids are going to start to flip, and like you said earlier, you know, the Utah should be on the list of every player that's at that level. You're going to be hard pressed to find a better coaching staff for sure to learn from, if nothing else, because you have, you know, 3 studs, and then you got Coach Brian Holman, who's just a fantastic role model, and so that's another thing that we really haven't talked about much up here, at least when I've been in the booth, is that they have such an advantage for a time to be determined. So,
absolutely, you know, good play there by the Utes, able to kill the penalty. Quinault Mackey getting down and going one-on-one with the goalie, unable to convert, but that's going to be the end of the third quarter. When we come back, we'll talk more about what Duke was alluding to there with the coaching staff. We're going to go to a quick break, though. Utah 14, Washington 4.
Tribal West is the first name in lacrosse out west. For more than 15 years, Tribal West has been gearing up beginners to ballers. Our online store is super easy, and we save you time and money. And team stores, let us do your work. Our deals for both men's and women's MCLA teams are flat out lax-tastic. We just made that up. Sublimated unis, made in the USA, and delivered on time. Tribal West, proud to be family-owned and player-operated. Tribal West, look good, play better.
What does University Credit Union and the Utah men's lacrosse team have in common? Surprisingly, a lot. Both like the color red. Both can be found here on campus. Both are great for the community. Both are well trained. And both are made up of really nice, friendly people.
You don't got anything on me. Let's go. Square up.
You know, let me get back to you on that.
We're back here, fans, for the start of the fourth quarter between the #1 ranked Utah Utes and the Washington Huskies. Utes taking a 14-4 lead here into the final frame. Before we left for break, Duke was mentioning the coaching staff. Couple points there, Duke. You know, there's very few staffs out there that have 3 MLL players on their staff. Marcus and Will were Tualatin finalists in their respective senior years. Marcus obviously on Team USA for this summer. But then you mentioned Coach Brian Holman, who I think some of the younger generation doesn't maybe understand what he's done. So first of all, he played in 4 straight championships as a player. So, I mean, if you took a list of all the guys who have done that, it's probably pretty small. He was then an assistant for Johns Hopkins after he graduated and won a championship as an assistant. And then he won a championship with North Carolina as an assistant in 2016. So if you were to try to find, you know, if you did some statistical research there, I bet that list is pretty short of guys who have won six NCAA championships, some as players and some as coaches. So, but you're right, he does take on kind of this father figure, and he's phenomenal at it. Yeah. So if you ever have the chance to come to a practice, I would highly suggest it. It's a very good learning experience to kind of see what these coaches are about. You know, the other thing to mention too, Coach Gittleman and this defense performing at a very high level. Yeah, he's got them just whipped right into shape. You know, they run 6 or 7 poles a game, which, you know, most teams are running just 3, maybe a 4th every now and then. And so to do it with so many guys as well just opens up loads of opportunity. Just a great defensive mind. Spent time at Harvard coaching, as we see a shot there by Stout. So played at Virginia, won a national championship there as a goalie, and then you know, spent time at Harvard, and then obviously here. So, you know, I think Will and Marcus kind of get a lot of credit, you know, or maybe the more famous or more popular ones, but Coach Gittleman's definitely right up there when it comes to strategy and getting the teams playing the way he wants them to. So
good recruiter too.
Great recruiter, absolutely. Great snowboarder as well.
Fun fact.
Loves the snowboard. See the Utes out there. That's Liam Kavanaugh-Fernandez. Great save by Moreno. He's had a couple great saves here late in this game. It's good to see them not giving up. A couple of the teams the Utes have played in this season, I felt, have just kind of thrown in the towel. But Washington's still playing hard here, which is something Oregon did as well on Thursday. So good to see those teams sticking with it, not giving up. We mentioned earlier, but Washington moves on to, they'll play BYU on Monday down in Provo. Big hit by Watson, collects and shoots and scores. What a heads-up ride there, Cole Watson. Big hit.
Kid's a stud.
That's going to make the score 15-4 for the Utes. Here comes the replay. Moreno just didn't see him coming.
Oh. Then he didn't know where the goal was.
Yeah, then he backed up and thought he was going in the goal, but kind of went off to the side there. So good, nice physical heads-up play from Cole Watson. I think if you had to epitomize a play that's a Utah lacrosse way, that would certainly be up there. I know Coach Holman will love pointing that one out. You take a 15-4 lead here, 13-16 left in this ball game. If you're still watching, we want to thank you, and feel free to tweet in your questions at Utah Lacrosse. And we'll try to answer him there on air as Colin Lee comes up with it for the Utes. He's going to backhand it to Aiden Christian. It goes back to Johns. Johns crossfield to Rylan Lemons. Haven't called his name much tonight, but great defender out of Colorado. You mentioned Colorado kids coming to Utah. We've got 3 on the roster this year.
And I would suspect that number continually rises over the next few years here.
It makes sense to me. And there's one of them, Dalton. Nice shot, but saved by Moreno. Duke, the thing about Denver and Air Force is and Utah, they're 3 totally different schools.
Completely.
And so I think that there's a lot of Colorado kids who, if they're not the right fit for Denver or Air Force, that they would certainly look towards Utah to fulfill that need.
Yeah,
so
Denver's heavy on the Canadian recruits. Air Force is an academy, so you got to be the right player. And
yep.
I mean, lacrosse in Colorado in general, high school there's so many good kids.
Yep. Absolutely. So, Denver, a smaller school as well.
Yeah. You don't have that P5 type feel.
Yep. So depending on what you want, and I think that's one of the advantages Utah has is they become that P5 school in the West. And so if you're a kid in the West, you can look towards Denver or look towards Utah, depending on what you're looking for, and find a fit there.
Yep.
I was talking to a parent, actually, whose kid plays at Oregon now, but he transferred from Marquette. And he said, Tim, in order for me to go watch a game at Marquette, it was like a 4-hour flight and then a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
And that's tough. That's exhausting for parents. And so, Salt Lake City, just an hour flight from Southern California, as we see Dalton Ziegler getting his goal. Finally finding space there for the Utes, but
he missed that last one he took got saved. He's not going to miss that.
That's right.
And just kind of going, if you've ever been to the campus, it is a special campus. It's a beautiful campus, and so not to beat a dead horse on the recruiting trail, but it is a beautiful campus. You have the mountains right in the background there. You have access to it. You can get anywhere in the Salt Lake Valley, which we could.
That was my next point. From the Salt Lake City airport to the University of Utah campus, it's a 10-minute drive. Mm-hmm. If there's no traffic, today it might be a little worse because of the snow, but as a parent, you could, say Southern California, you could fly in, watch a game, fly home, and be home for dinner. You know what I mean? We do see a great save there by Zach Johns. A flight to Washington's only 2 hours or so. Obviously, Denver's a 45-minute flight. So, just a good area for parents to come and watch their kids play. Like you mentioned, the campus is beautiful. It's especially pretty, Duke, when it snows overnight and you're one of the first kids on campus for one of those early classes and the snow's fresh. It's incredible. So we see the ball go out of bounds there. Utah's going to retain. Finelli gets double teamed. Ball is still down. Oh, nice little hockey play there to Washington. Doesn't have any help, though. Going to get guarded by Christian. So yeah, it'll be fun to see the transition that Utah makes. See what happens. There's going to be, you know, some humbling years ahead. I'm not saying that they're ready for Division I lacrosse yet, but if I do know one thing, Coach Holman is going to have what he has performing at the highest level possible. So it'll be fun to see. It's fun for the university to add a sport. I had a Twitter conversation with the guy just the other day asking about the success of this current club team and kind of how it'll compare it in the future, as we see a goal there by Washington, CJ Schuster getting on the board. But, you know, so people in the community outside of the lacrosse community are excited, which I think is kind of the point. So should be good.
Yeah.
Utah with a 16-5 lead here over the Huskies. Great play there by Schuster late in this ball game. Jacob Chang at the face-off X for the Utes, going against Ben LaRoche. Nate Berger on the near wing. Dean Anderson on the far wing. Both East High graduates. They call Nate Berger the old man on the team. I think he's 23 or 24. Big hits by everyone. Great play, though, by Kyle Deege. Able to come away with it and find space. Utah, after this game, will go on a short break. Spring break is this week. And then they'll host Westminster, a local NCAA Division II team, who is just literally down the road here. They'll host them on Friday, March 30th. Utes will then they'll open up RMLC play against Utah State on April 5th. Then an away game at UVU April 7th. So 2 RMLC opponents, in-state opponents, back-to-back there for the Utes. Utes have had good success against those teams in the past. The next weekend, Utah will take to the road and play at Colorado State on April 12th, and then at Colorado, April 14th. And then 5 days later, they will host BYU in the regular season finale for the Utes. So this kind of concludes the pre-conference schedule, you know, then they sandwich in that scrimmage with Westminster and then into RMLC play. So Utes are currently 7-0, number 1 in the country. Washington 4-1 on the season. They play BYU Monday. Then they go to Boise to play UVU in a neutral field game and then play Boise State the next day. And then they host Oregon State, Oregon, and Simon Fraser on 3 consecutive Saturdays. Yeah. So
it's a good schedule for Washington to play.
Yep. They did put together a good schedule. Excuse me, they were down at the Pac-12 shootout. I don't have in front of me who they played, but that Pac-12 shootout, always a good event.
I know they played Stanford and they lost.
That's right. So yeah, a nice outside shot ripped by Sean Dack. Pulling one back there for the Huskies. They've scored 2 in a row here, Duke.
They have. Then just like you said it earlier in the third quarter there, credit this Washington team for not giving up. I mean, they have absolutely not thrown in the towel, partially because they have like 2 subs, and so I don't think they can do anything but play their horses. But, I mean, good for them for not giving up.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I mean, the goals that they're scoring are nice takes. They're good goals.
Yep. We see Jacob Chang out there again for the Utes, going against LaRoche. Nice shot there, the Husky bench. Ball is down. Chang comes away with it. He's going to outlet to Zach Johns. Zach goes upfield to Nicholas Farnsworth, unable to collect it. Bo Powell comes away with it. He's going to run to space before flinging it over to Luke Graney. Utes only have, there's the 5th offensive player. Graney finds Ian Elson. Gets it up top to Kelowna. Nicholas Farnsworth running off there. He's going to bring on Felstead. Felstead with space. Opts to throw to Graney. Graney over to freshman Bo Powell. Bo from Atlanta, Georgia. Ian Elson finds Colonna with a nice time and space shot, hitting that top pipe. Great shot by Gus.
Good offense there. Good offense there by Utah. Again, if you give a lot of these Utah players a time and room shot, really, I mean, a lot of players that start at the MCLA level, it's probably going to end up in a goal a good percentage of the time. And that's just quick release by Colonna there and buries it away.
So the Utes take a 17-6 lead here. 6:35 left in this ball game. Colin Lee out there for the Utes. Going up against the Roach. Let's see if I can dig into our live stats and see if we can pull some of those up for you. Utah outshot in the third quarter. Washington had 4 shots. Utah only had 2 shots in that third quarter. Got a timeout on the field. Penalty on the field. It's like, I think they call it delay a game on Washington. So the Utes will be man up here. Speaking of man up, they are 3 of 7 today. Not great. But
they're just, I mean, they're not finishing, but they are getting the looks. I think it's just, they're being a little bit too patient, but if you go back and look, they're getting a ton of looks, just not finishing them. And that's a key point of clarification. If your man-up squad isn't getting looks, then you have an issue. But if they're getting looks and just not finishing them, it's a lot easier of an issue to fix.
Through 3 quarters, Utah had won 17 of 19 faceoffs. As we see Josh Stout doing what he does best there, getting the goal. That was just like his previous man-up goal. For the Utes to take an 18-6 lead.
Great, again, time and room shot, puts it away. The goalie is not saving those near side pipe there. It's a tough save for him. Versus a righty goalie, it'd be stick side high, but versus lefty goalie, it's opposite high, so it's a little bit harder to get to. Good job of the players for exploiting that.
6:13 left in this ball game. Jacob Chang out there for the Utes. Comes away with the face-off win, but just getting hammered. Ball goes down. Dalton picking it up.
It's getting a little bit chippy out there, Tim.
A little bit chippy. I think flag down.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the right call.
So we'll see the Utah man-up unit again. My hunch is that they'll get Stout on the wing, and he'll take a step-down shot. What do you want to bet?
I'd say I'm not going to take that bet because I think it's pretty safe.
Okay. We'll see if Washington adjusts to it. They've been beaten twice already that way.
The issue that they're having is they're just a step slow to rotate. So Utah's getting them to rotate, and they just can't get there in time. You know, Stout and Gus have a quicker release. Oh, goodness.
Felstead, looks like that was saved. Stout unable to come up with the ground ball and scoops it back right to Washington. So missed opportunity there for the Utes. So they put Felstead on that wing and Stout on the other wing. So basically, if it's open, Felstead can rip it. He is a naturally left-handed player. So
and if again. On the same thing as the other side, if that was a righty goalie, probably would have buried it. But that was stick side high. That's an easy save for the goalie.
Goalie changed in there for Utah. Max Holmes in the cage for the Utes. Number 11, one of the guys who was on last year's team, broke his thumb last year right before the first road game. As we see a Washington goal. Only featured in 1 game last year, so good to see him, first of all, coming back to the team, but then also getting time here. Good goal by number 18, Garrett Sorensen. Good little ball movement here by the Mustangs. Nice placement on the goal.
And my hunch is that Coach Holman is probably not very pleased with the second half performance out of Utah. You mentioned earlier they got outshot in the third quarter, and I know personally as a coach I'd be very disappointed in that. And it's just all about you got to finish the job, right? You think, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, a lacrosse game is 4 quarters, and if you don't play well in one of those quarters, you expose yourself to, somebody putting a run on you, and it doesn't matter if the score's, a lot to a little. You gotta finish the job.
Absolutely. Utah allowing 5 goals in this second half so far. That's a season record. They haven't done that so far.
Speaks volumes to how good of a team we have, but at the same time, you can't just because. It doesn't make an excuse for
Sure, absolutely. So, yeah, like you said, probably not thrilled with the second half. Offense has only scored 6. So that's a 6-5 ball game if you think of just the second half. So Washington definitely with more time of possession in the second half than they had in the first. As we see Utah clear out the bench there. That's Josh Biggs, number 15 for the Utes. Open shot, wide.
That's Aiden Major.
Aiden Major with the shot.
Just a bit outside.
Near side defender, 27 is Tommy O'Day. 31 there on that near side on the black cleats is Oscar Krantz. Number 10, Austin Porter. Nice alley dodge there, but as Ben LaRoche finds the back of the net.
18-8, 3:53 remaining.
That was a really nice shot. Alley dodge, slide came late, and did what he should have done. Took a shot there. Again, credit for Washington for continuing to fight.
Yep, not giving up.
Making the score look respectable.
Yep, this is a record output on the Utes defensive-wise. The previous record was 6 goals, so Washington able to put up 8.
At least. Still got 4 minutes to play. They better lock down defensively.
Shot by Chang. Blocked. Ball's on the turf. Bo Powell comes away with it. Dalton Ziegler coming away with it. Colorado gets double teamed. Going to call a push and give it to the Utes. A couple tweets coming in. Lisa Lean Major, who is the parent or family member of number 5 for Washington. She says, thanks for streaming the game. Any words of advice for the UW team going into the game on Monday against BYU?
Just win.
Just win. Okay, there you go. Simple as that. Steve Heyman, our good buddy, tweets in, what is the next main step the state of Utah needs to take to feed more high school players into D1 programs so Utah doesn't have to go out of state as much?
There's a lot of momentum at the high school level right now. A lot of players playing the game, and I think as more experienced coaches come back and coach maybe their alma maters, or they have a buddy who coaches, it'll only up level the play. Likely that Utah probably won't need to take a ton of talent in state, but there's always 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 guys that are the best of the best, and so I'd be shocked if those players don't stay moving forward, but it's only a matter of time. I think Utah, I've always said, is about 10 to 15 years behind Colorado in terms of talent, and so it's only a positive thing moving forward, and eventually there's, our high school teams are getting more and more competitive. The top tier teams are going out of state and testing the waters and doing decent. I know Brighton's down in Southern California right now playing some top tier teams. Juan Diego's going to the East Coast to play some teams, and so it's kind of just testing the waters and just continuing to play the game. It's just kind of as simple as that. Players got to play the game to get better.
That's right. In the Utah Lacrosse podcast with Coach Gittleman, I asked him what the key to success for growth in the West was. So we see a nice play there by Max Holmes, able to get a stick up in the alley. But Coach Gittleman said patience is the key, and so I think that's true. As some of the things start to develop, the Utah High School Association will be sanctioned in a couple years, and so it'll be, I think that'll be a huge. I think the league might take a step back initially, but then eventually it'll progress further than where we are today, and so that'll help. And then it's just consuming. It's coming to games like this. It's watching lacrosse on TV. It's hitting the wall maybe more than you did last year, stuff like that. So as the play increases, I think that more kids will choose Division I college, and then it has to be the right fit. It's never smart to go to a school just to play Division I lacrosse if it's not the right school. If you hate the athletics, or academics, if you hate where you live, if you don't like your roommate, stuff like that, that's not a good thing.
Exactly.
So
you got to think about it. If whatever sport you're playing, if that sport was taken away from the school for whatever reason, would you like to be there? And that's a great word of advice.
Sure. An orange ball unable to be found on the end line, so they pick up a white one.
This will be fun.
Kind of interesting.
I can't even see the ball, to be honest with you.
I know Liam has it. Number 14 on that far side. The thing, though, I like, Duke, is that if you look at just Utah, the state of Utah, we'll have a Division I team. We'll have a Division II team. And then BYU is obviously one of the top MCLA teams.
Yeah.
And so a good fit for a lot of Utah kids out there.
Yeah.
So I think that's encouraging. Hopefully UVU will continue to rise. Hopefully Utah State will continue to rise. Weber State is starting to put together teams. So it's definitely growing. I think there's a lot of options for kids out there. And then outside of the state, there's a lot of options too. Some kids love staying in state, some don't.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. So lots of good options though. As we see Utah just take the air out of the ball here. About 10 seconds left. Bo Powell's going to draw the double team. Probably might have his thumb up there in the throat of the stick and just running around as we have a final here in Salt Lake City. Utah hangs on to beat the Washington Huskies 18-8. Duke, final thoughts on the game?
Started out really strong again. Second half wasn't the best, but still won by 10. So it'll be a good little break as they head into spring break, and some things to work on. But this team has so much momentum. Just got to build on it and keep winning.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, folks. Again, the next game and broadcast will be on March 30th as the Utes come back from spring break and take on Westminster and in the NCAA Double 2A team. And thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of the day and a great rest of your weekend.
I've always worn Cascades. I've got pictures of my first helmets back when it was sport helmets. My dad, I was really fortunate. Every birthday, he would get me the latest Cascade, so that was always something I could look forward to. So I was always in the best helmet that Cascade made. My teammates were always envious of me.
I've been wearing a Cascade helmet since my first time in 5th grade and haven't looked back or changed, and wore it in college, wore it in the pros.
Yeah, I've always worn Cascade. Anytime I've even tried anything else on, I've never liked it. I don't really like the look of other helmets.
Growing up, Cascades were always the helmet of choice for me. I remember I just got into the game when they first got rid of the buckets, so the tie backs back in the day. When the first Cascade came out, that was wild, it was revolutionary.
I've only worn Cascade. I have no interest in trying on any other helmet. I feel like when you're already wearing the best helmet that looks the best and feels the best, then what's the point?
No matter what helmet somebody wears, if they have to wear another one, they're going to tell you that they'd rather be wearing this.
Welcome to Imagine You. 1,534 acres of you can achieve anything. Here, the state's most distinguished faculty does more than simply transfer knowledge. They inspire new generations of thought leaders, creative thinkers, problem solvers, and community healers. It's a place where humanity in all its diversity is celebrated, and humanities as a discipline is still championed. We are, after all, a place of higher learning. You see a collection of buildings, steel, concrete, brick, and glass, some old, some new. But inside these buildings, there are no secrets.